What's up, comic and pop culture fans? This is James with Midhunter Comics, and the number one question I seem to get in the comments is, where should I start reading Green Lantern? Or where should I start reading Hawkeye? So I thought I'd make a video as a one-stop shop for my recommendation, keyword there, this is my opinion, for where you should start off reading the following characters. Not all of these are my favorite books of these characters, but I do think this is where you should begin if you want to kind of get a good understanding of these characters. First things first, guys, go ahead and like and comment down below. I want to know what you think is some of the best places to start for these characters. Don't forget you can support the channel by going to dynamicforces.com using the code MINT at checkout. You get yourself 10% off and I get a little piece. That's how you can support the channel and Dynamic Forces. Let's start it off. I think we'll go alphabetically, which for me, we're going to begin at Ant-Man. Now, Ant-Man's tricky because you got Scott Lang, you got Hank Pym. For me, I'd put my money on these two places to start for your reading on Ant-Man for a better understanding. I've got Ultron Unlimited, which is the Avengers 19 through 22, and Astonishing Ant-Man, specifically the first 4 issues, I think will give you a really great understanding and a really good, fun, interesting, and cool reads. Next up, Aquaman. I've got an easy one here. I quite recommend the Geoff Johns Aquaman run. It comes in an omnibus form, and it looks like that. Next up, the Atom, and there's an easy one here, the Sword of the Atom. This is the go-to if you want to understand this character and get a really good starting point for this, frankly, kind of lesser known, more obscure character. The Avengers. This one's tough because there's been a million great stories. I actually would advise starting with Hickman's run. Yeah, I know there's going to be diehards in there that said you should start in the 60s. I think you should start here for a few reasons. Try to get your hands on this omnibus if you can. If not, you can go the trade paperback route. Next up, Batgirl, and I'm going to have to go with the greatest Batgirl stories ever told, as well as Batgirl Year 1. Next up, Batman, you're going to want to read Year 1 and The Long Halloween as your starters. For Batwoman, you're going to want to read Batwoman by Greg Rucka as a really great starting place. For Black Canary, you're going to want to pick up Black Canary and Zatanna, Bloodspell. This is a fun read, and you get a little bit of Zatanna goodness in there. Black Panther, I'm actually going to recommend the Christopher Priest run here, specifically that first volume. They do have it in a complete collection, volume 1, and it looks like that. For Black Widow, there's actually surprisingly some good issues that you could realistically start out as a great grasp of the character. I'm going with Finely Woven Thread, and it looks like that. Captain America, here's a tricky one. Again, a lot of people are going to have different opinions about this. I would recommend Man About Time, Jeff Loeb's White, and I'm going to give you a third option with Mark Waid's Home of the Brave. Captain Marvel, I don't know too well, so I actually had to go to my cousin for this one, and he recommends Kelly Sue Deconnick's In Pursuit of Flight, the beginning of her run on Captain America. Oh, Captain Marvel, not Captain America, excuse me. Catwoman, you're going to want to go with Trail of the Catwoman by Ed Brubaker. Brubaker on Catwoman, can't go wrong. And there's also Jeff Loeb's When in Rome. You're going to see Brubaker and Jeff Loeb on this list a few times. With Conan the Barbarian, I would recommend The Coming of Conan by Robert Howard. Daredevil, another tricky one. There's so many good runs with so many different great teams on it. I would say your starting point should be the Frank Miller stuff. They do have a Frank Miller Daredevil omnibus. I believe it's out of print now, so it's a little harder to get your hands on it, but if you can, that's a great starting point. I do love the Bendis, Smith, the Wade stuff, but this is a great starting point. With the Defenders, just stick with Defenders Masterworks Volume 1. It collects all those early first appearances of that and does a good job letting you know all you need to know about the Defenders. Doctor Strange is another tricky one. I would recommend Doctor Strange Epic Collection Master of the Mystic Arts. Elektra, Frank Miller coming at it again. I would go with Elektra Assassin. I think that's the best one I would start with if you want to really discover Elektra. There's other good options here, but I think that's a good starter. Fantastic Four, you just got to go straight to the source material for your starters. You're going to want to read Fantastic Four 1 through, I think, 102. That's Stan Lee and Kirby doing what they do best. That was their baby, so it just makes sense that you read the classics on that one. Ghost Rider is another weird one because there are multiple Ghost Riders, but I would recommend Ghost Rider Danny Ketch Classic Volume 1, as well as Road to Damnation. Green Arrow, again, there's a lot of good runs. I'm going to have to go with Year 1, I think should be your starting point, especially fans of the show might appreciate how it's a little bit similar in parts. Green Lantern should absolutely be the Geoff Johns Green Lantern Omnibus. Looks a little bit like that. It is the standard for Green Lantern stories and recaps everything you need to know and more of everything of the Green Lantern lore. Guardians of the Galaxy is tricky because the lineups have changed, and it's just kind of a tricky one. If you want to go a little bit more similar to the movie route, you can look at the 2013 stuff, but I'm going to bring it back to the 2008 Guardians of the Galaxy run, Volume 1, Legacy. Hawkeye, we got to go with Matt Fraction. Volume 1, My Life as a Weapon. When it comes to Hellboy, you want to check out that Seed of Destruction. I believe they call it an omnibus, but it doesn't look like an omnibus, and it looks a little bit like that. As for Incredible Hulk, I've got a weird pick for you guys, and I think a lot of you are going to disagree with me. I would actually start with Planet Hulk. It's where I started, and I'm standing with it. When it comes to Iron Fist, you want your Immortal Iron Fist and the Immortals Omnibus, if you can get your hands on it. Iron Man, a really good starting point, is actually not the source material. I would read a book called Extremis. Robin, the first, Dick Grayson, I would read Robin Year 1. Great starter, lets you know the stuff you should know right off the bat. Robin 2, Jason Todd, you're going to want to read a book called Batman Second Chances. Also, you could do the Death in the Family, excuse me. Third Robin, my favorite, Tim Drake, you're going to want to read, just redid everything. Volume 1's called Reborn, I believe. Yeah, and Volume 2 is called Triumphant. You really want both Volume 1 and 2 of that run. Robin 4, Damian, you're going to want to go with Batman and Son, and also the New 52's Born to Kill. Thought that was a particularly good one. Spider-Man. So this is another one where there's so many great stories, but to really get it right, you want to go back to the source material on this one. Nothing tops it. So if you can find collections of those early Stan Lee ones, that's the one to go. I recommend Amazing Spider-Man Epic Collection Great Power, although you should get the Kindle edition, otherwise you're going to be spending a lot of money. The Spectre, one of my favorite and most underrated characters for sure. You want that 90s John Ostrander run. Yeah, it's basically bulletproof. That's some good writing right there. I think Volume 1 is called Crimes and Judgments. When it comes to Submariner, again, another character that exists for decades before this one, but you want the 12-issue series saga of the Submariner. Great art, great recap, everything you need to know. Supergirl, I got 2 for you. We got Batman, Superman, Supergirl, or you can go with Supergirl Volume 1, The Last Daughter of Krypton. Superman. It's funny telling someone where to start with Superman. That's a tough one. For me, I would start with the Geoff Johns Superman run. He really holds your hand and lets you know what you should know about Superman. It's an excellent place to start. Swamp Thing, this is a no-brainer. You are going to want to read Saga of Swamp Thing by Alan Moore. Hands down. There's other great stories out there. Swamp Thing's always great, but that is the one. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I would go with the IDW stuff, and they have it in the IDW Collection, Volume 1. That's probably the one you want to start with. Teen Titans, I used to have it sitting right here. They reprinted them all in omnibus form. You can still get them. You want the new Teen Titans Volume 1. You can branch out, get 2, 3, 4, but start with number 1. Thor, this one is where I actually don't go to the source material. I like more recent Thor books significantly better than the old stuff. That is just me. I know you guys are going to butcher me, pun intended, in the comments, but I would go with Thor, God of Thunder, Volume 1, The God Butcher. Next up, we got the Wasp, and she's always kind of like a side character. I would stick with Uncanny Avengers. Sure, she's not the main character, but I like her appearances in that. It just works really well. Uncanny Avengers, Unity, Volume 1, and it looks like that. Watchmen. Wolverine, you're going to want Wolverine by Claremont and Miller, and then if you can get your hands on some retelling of Weapon X so you can get to know how he got the adamantium on his bones, Weapon X. for sure. Wonder Woman, I would have to give it to the George Perez run. They make it in an omnibus. I just finished this thing, and yes, I have to say, that is absolutely my starting point. Another big one here, X-Men. Where do you start? I would start with the Claremont run. Try to get your hands on the Uncanny X-Men Omnibus #1. I'm going to end it here with Zatanna, and you're going to want to check out Zatanna Everyday Magic. It's a one-shot. Alright guys, I hope this video helped. Don't forget to like and comment on your way out with some of the books that you think maybe should be a starter, or where you should go after you've done these starter books. And as always guys, keep on reading.